I don't know why I'm recording this now because I saw this film months ago, but this is my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Um, so, I don't like it. I didn't like it and I don't like it. When you go and see a film which is a continuation of a franchise, you want the things that made you love that franchise. That's what you want. So we got 4 films in the Indiana Jones series up to this point where Indiana Jones is a hero and he goes on adventures and he fights and he's strong. Even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was like that to some extent. Well, he was old, but he was still Indiana Jones. Now, in this film, that's not the case. He's pathetic. So, I want some continuity. It's called Indiana Jones. The film is called Indiana Jones, but we get him playing second fiddle to another new character. If that character, Helena Shaw, was such a good character, they should have made a new franchise just for her. So anyway, this is my own fault because I watched a lot of reviews before I went to see this. I knew what it was going to be like. I went anyway, just for the sake of completing the franchise. Um, I won't go over the story very much, but in terms of what the MacGuffin is this time, and the fact that it's about time travel, I don't really have a problem with that because there's a lot of magical things in Indiana Jones. Um, there's lots of supernatural elements, I suppose. What matters is how well was it handled, and the answer is no, it's shit, basically. The chase at the start is shit. Indiana Jones looks weird, his voice sounds creaky and old, and Mad's character gets hit by a pole that should kill him. It's completely stupid. The mechanics of it are stupid, the physics of it are stupid, and it's just unbelievable. It's rubbish, and the way things move, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look like things have real momentum. It doesn't. It's not the purely practical chases that they had in the first 3 in the Spielberg films. It looks. I don't know how to describe this, but you'll know what I mean. Modern. It's got that modern look. Um, I'll get Helena Shaw out the way, Indy's goddaughter out the way, before continuing. But that character was obnoxious and hypocritical. She scolds Indy for the things that he's done in the past, but her motivations are awful. Basically, stealing things and selling them on the black market, and she sells out Indiana Jones time and time again. For what? What does she do that for? There's a chase where she leaves him to fend for himself. And what? Why? Why does she hate him? Is it ideology? Is it feminism? Why? He's an old bereaved man who she's kind of related to, and she tells him off and lectures him, but she's just a massive piece of shit herself with no loyalty. She's a thief. She doesn't care when people die in the film. Anyway, going back to how it looks, uh, this is a problem with a lot of modern films. It just doesn't look. I don't want to use the word realistic in connection with Indiana Jones, but nothing really looks solid or like it's moving with real momentum. Everything looks kind of hyperkinetic and cartoonish. Modern filmmaking, this has been said in a lot of videos, especially about films like this. Basically, they are shooting for coverage. It feels like they take a lot of coverage, a lot of footage, and then they edit it together later. It doesn't feel like every shot has been planned, like the Spielberg films. I saw a chase scene from one of the old Spielberg ones from the original 3, where there was a horse chase. Horse was chasing alongside a train, and it really held on the shot. You got to see it for a long time. So obviously, a man is riding a horse for a continuous period of time. Now everything cuts around so much. Every shot's 2 or 3 seconds. It just it it comes across as lazy, like they're covering themselves with as much coverage as possible, then editing it together later. Um, and as for Indiana Jones, because he's old, they could have worked around the fact that Indiana Jones is old. What they should have done is they should have done a story where Indy's old, the way that Rocky was in Rocky Balboa, but he goes on a smaller scale adventure with less danger and quietly prevails using cunning. That would have been good. Indiana Jones going out on one last small scale win, taking on a few bad guys despite his age, not jumping between. Anyway, anyway, so today I was thinking about this film again, and I just thought, can I come up with a random idea? Just a random idea for Indy 5 that would have been better than this. And so I just started writing something down. Just a random thing. And I think this would be better than what we got. So I thought, what if Indiana Jones, it's the 60s and Indiana Jones is teaching at university and he's giving an enthralling lecture to a new generation of students. So they like him. They actually like him. He's not a pathetic old man. He hasn't given up on life. He's not an old curmudgeon. People like him, and they like his tales of adventure. He's talking a bit about some of his adventures. Despite the space race and all the excitement going on, Indy still manages to surprise this class of young people with tales of meeting Nazis, tales of fighting against them. Then after this lecture, Indy goes to meet Mutt, who isn't dead, but he is a drunken wreck now. So Indy gives him a rousing speech about not giving up, about values, and that sets up the fact that it's still the same Indiana Jones that we know and love from the previous films. So there could be a time-traveling MacGuffin. I mean, leave the time-traveling in, maybe. I would take it out, leave it in. It doesn't really matter. If you handle it well, it's fine. But there's a time-traveling MacGuffin in storage at Indy's. The Antikythera is in storage at Indy's university. But no one knows it's there except for Mads Mikkelsen's character. So him and a crew pull off a robbery to steal it from the university. Now, in the process, Indiana Jones sees Mads' character, sees the Nazis, so they decide to kidnap him, take him during the escape. They don't have time to kill him or something. So in the chaos, they just drag him along with them. So then the Nazis, they're not Nazis now, obviously it's the 60s, but they're former Nazis. And they want to go back. They want to use the Antikythera to go back and redo the war. So Mads and his crew escape the country in a private plane with Indiana Jones, who they've kidnapped. So now Indiana Jones has to escape from them and take the time-traveling MacGuffin with him so that they can't fulfill their plan. There'll be no Helena Shaw in the story, no goddaughter. It'll be a tight 2-hour drama with Indy, some Nazis, where the end of the film is him using cunning to stop them travelling back in time, and also he has to escape with the Antikythera, and he has to kill Mads Mikkelsen doing that. At the end, Indiana Jones goes home to Mutt, who wants to use the Antikythera to go back and fix his own life, but Indy tells him that that's a bad idea. And despite his reverence for artifacts, Indy decides to destroy the time travel MacGuffin because it's just too dangerous for it to exist. The end. Now, that's not a fantastic idea. That's not brilliant. That's not genius. It's basic. It's not even that interesting. Why do I bring it up? I bring it up because I actually believe that in the hands of a decent director, that would be better than the bloated, irreverent, flyweight, hyperactive, illogical, but somehow boring stew of shit that they served up to us. 2.5 hours, I think it was, this film. Why is an Indiana Jones film 2.5 hours? Why? If you look at the ones that Steven Spielberg made, the first 3 films, they're not that long, and they're some of the best action-adventure films ever made. Some of the best blockbusters ever made. Why did they want to add a sidekick to Indy in the form of Helena Shaw? I don't understand who that was aimed at. I don't see how they thought the audiences would be excited for that. Who's the audience for Indiana Jones? Who grew up on Indiana Jones? Middle-aged Gen X males. And they haven't got anything against quote-unquote strong female characters. They haven't. There's lots and lots of films with strong female characters. that people of that demographic love. Resident Evil, great. And then there's all the ones that always get mentioned in lots of videos, you know, Ellen Ripley and so on, Sarah Connor. There's a bunch of them. So no problem with any of that. But that's not what this franchise is. This franchise is about Indiana Jones. Every film in the franchise, every film title has the name Indiana Jones in it. Indiana Jones is the hero. It's a pulpy series of stories about a particular heroic professor who goes on adventures and fights, and he's brave. That's what it is. If you have another character that you want to insert in that, that's fine. But to have a character inserted into that who isn't Indiana Jones and who insults Indiana Jones and who makes him look pathetic and who punches him in the face and knocks him out near the end of the film, then isn't that just alienating your core audience? Isn't that just commercially stupid? I honestly don't see who this was aimed at. I mean, I suspect they thought that it's a bold direction and that would generate clickbait and get people talking about the film or something, or maybe they'd attract some younger people who have different ideology or something, a different view of the world that would attract a new generation, or maybe they thought they could pass the torch on to this character. I guarantee you, if they make a sixth film in this series and Harrison Ford isn't in it and it's based around Helena Shaw, it will bomb. It will completely bomb. No one will go to see that. If they want to do this, they could make a completely new series about a woman who goes on adventures and finds historical artifacts and see how that stands on its own legs. And if it's good, I'll go and watch it. I'll pay to watch it. I'll go to the cinema. It just depends if it's good. It's like anything else. It depends if it's good. But anyway, I did not enjoy this film. I give it a 3 out of 10, which is sad. I mean, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull looks fantastic alongside this. And it's weird because I don't know if it's James Mangold's fault. He's a good director. He's made some films I enjoy. I don't really know how much of this is his fault, but he didn't do a good job with this. So to summarize, I think Indiana Jones got sidelined in his own film, which is alienating, frustrating, confusing. Other characters not good. Helena Shaw not good. It doesn't look good. The chase scenes aren't tense. The action isn't tense. Things don't really feel like they're really happening. People survive things that the human anatomy couldn't survive. Say what you want about how magical and weird and fantastical some of the earlier films were. They still... People didn't tend to survive things you couldn't physically survive. I mean, they stretched credibility a bit, but when you see Mads Mikkelsen hit by a steel pole while he's on the top of a speeding train, and it should take his head off, it should kill him, and it doesn't. This just takes you out of it, it yanks you out of it. And there's that way of just... This is a general complaint I have with a lot of modern films. It's just not holding shots. Just frantic editing or shorter shots. It doesn't have that well-staged, epic, carefully handled feel that the older films do when they shot on film. It's very digital. It's very spliced together. It feels like they showed it to test audiences and then re-edited it based on reactions. And I think this type of filmmaking is sadly probably here to stay. I don't think they can sustain having budgets this big, 300 million a time. I think eventually they'll have to scale the budgets back, but the method of making films I don't think is going to go away. I don't think we're going back to the old style of making films. Maybe there'll be a resurgence, but I think for at least for a while, I think the mainstream blockbusters are going to look and feel a little bit like this until they learn better. Maybe, hopefully. But anyway, that's my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know why I'm doing it now. Probably because I'm in not the best mood. I want to vent about something. That's 3 out of 10 from me. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and see you soon.